Videos can get demonetized on YouTube when people use material in those videos that they don't necessarily own. You can get copyright claims, copyright strikes. You can bump into trouble with fair use and more. That is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to be answering some questions from our live viewing audience. That's right. If you were watching this after the fact, this was a live stream, so be sure to subscribe so you can join in for the next live stream and you can get your questions answered as well. Let's bring in co-host number one. It's Mr. Rob Wilson. How's it going?
Hello, Dan. How are you? Quick update to everybody listening. I have a new microphone, so do let me know how I sound, if it works, and if all is tickety-boo.
Thank you for that. And then, of course, we couldn't talk about copyright without bringing in the one and only Emily D. Baker. How's it going?
Everything sounds tickety-boo on my end, Rob. So I think the new mic is fantastic, and it's good to see everybody.
Very pleased to hear that.
I had to put on my my over-the-ear headphones and feel like a real YouTube podcaster up in here. I never get to wear them, so I was very excited, and it's good to see everybody. Hello.
It's good to see you too. It's also good to see your headphones. They're awesome, and I'm jealous of them now.
I have a white pair. My husband has a black pair, so when we podcast together, we can isolate the sound and all the.
That's
things.
Smart.
But Rob just sounds great in the ears now. So
about time too. I'm just kidding. So Emily, we're going to be talking about copyright today. This is a topic that you on your channel, obviously, you're very close to as a lawyer. Tell everyone a little bit about you and your channel as we get started.
Hi, everybody. I'm Emily D. Baker. I'm everyone's favorite legal commentator. I do legal commentary and case breakdowns, mostly on pop culture subjects. And I also can be found around the internet talking about creators, the creator economy, doing things right, not getting in trouble, and things like that. I am a former deputy district attorney. I was also a lawyer for online business owners and entrepreneurs and creatives. So I've had a wide range of experience in my last 15 years and share all of that on my channel with case breakdowns, cursey word laden case breakdowns, because the law can't be discussed without throwing some F-bombs. So that is what you will find on my channel. And we don't just cover the cases that are in the headlines. I go behind the headlines. I find a lot of the headlines leave out all the really important and fun stuff. And we don't just cover like, oh, this is going to trial. I cover the pretrial motions, the post-trial motions. So if you want to deep dive into the cases that you're interested in, that's what's on my channel. So I am also a long form live streamer here on YouTube, about to cross 200,000 subs. YouTube got a little cranky with me. The kids go wild. We love it when the kids go wild. YouTube got a little crusty with me last month because Prince Andrew was doing so much, and my reach tanked. I was like, oh, this is a topic YouTube hates. Great, but I'm also a creator, which is why I love sharing my legal expertise with what I've learned as a creator with other creators. I've got a great copyright story for y'all today as we get into it too.
Well, let's do just that. Rob, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Prince Andrew.
I think we're done now. I think we're done now. It's settled. I think I don't have to talk about it anymore, so I can get back to like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie and this wicked lawsuit over a winery that she sold. So I can get back to like normal things. Jen Shaw's trial getting delayed, Josh Baker, Britney Spears, normal things.
So the first thing I want to ask, we're going to just cover some of the copyright basics right now. And the first thing I want to ask is copyright claims versus copyright strikes.
YouTube specific copyright items. Mm-hmm. These are not the U.S. Copyright Office copyright items. So that is the first distinction. Let's talk about this.
Yes. So what is essentially the difference between the two of these things for people who don't know?
Are you asking me? I'm not the YouTube or the YouTube
true. Let's start with Rob. Rob, break down the differences here, and we'll go from there.
So copyright claims are copyright strikes are no. When you get a claim, what's basically happening is that there is some sort of agreement between the copyright owner of the content and YouTube themselves that they're saying, okay, you as a creator have used this content from somebody else. We're not going to punish you in terms of your channel and the content. It may possibly be blocked in some countries, but what we are going to do is stick adverts on that content, and the copyright owner can earn money from that content. With a strike, it is a much more serious offense in that the copyright owner is saying, I do not want this creator to use this content at all, and I want YouTube to remove this content and punish the content creator as well. If you get 3 strikes, then you will unfortunately have your channel terminated. And it's never completely clear which one you're going to get. General advice is that if you upload the entire Batman movie on Thursday, you will get a strike. If you upload a clip from the Batman movie from 1988 that's 20 seconds long, you may get a claim, but it's never going to be 100% clear which is the other, which is where we'll probably pass on to Emily for her thoughts on that.
Because you can fight them. So I got a very interesting copyright claim recently on my channel that I was so angry about, but I had done a brand deal for a streaming service, and part of the brand guidelines were to use clips from one of their proprietary shows. And they were like, you need to run this clip over this spot for the ad on your channel. And I got copyright claimed on my advertisement brand deal because I had used the clip from their proprietary show as part of their required guidelines for the ad spot that was on my channel. The thing is, these are determined by algorithms, and the company that is processing the claims for this very large organization is a separate media company. It is not the marketing arm that created a brand deal with me. It's a different side of and a completely separate company that is doing these copyright claims. So understanding when you have the right to use something helps you respond to YouTube in an intelligent way and say, hey, I have the right to use this, and you can respond back, because copyright claims can be released from your channel and then you get the monetization for it. Where a copyright strike is a bit harder to fight, and it's YouTube saying, hey, you've gone against what we want you to do. Different than what goes on in the world of copyright. And I think for just a moment, I'm going to define the things that can be copyrighted. If you watch my channel regularly, we were talking about copyright and trademark yesterday in the new Kristen Cavallari lawsuit over jewelry. But copyright generally covers original works of authorship, like literary works, music works, dramatic works, choreography, pictures and graphical works, movies, audiovisuals, sound recordings. When we get into music, it's a whole different world. If you are trying to use music, you need to have a deeper conversation about copyright, because there are different rights between lyrics of music and the full performance of music and the musical part of the music, the melody part of the music. Those are different things. This is different than trademark, which is a conversation for a separate day and doesn't come up as much in the context of YouTube. It can come up if you're making merch with a cheeky favorite little saying from something. That saying might be trademarked. That's a different conversation. For our purposes of what you can and can't use on your channel to stay in the green with YouTube and not get yourself either demonetized or yeeted off of the platform, you need to understand what copyright covers and how you can lawfully use it. Here's the rub of that. Like with all things law, it depends. It depends. It depends. So making sure that you understand that fair use, which is something a lot of YouTubers talk about, oh, I can use this clip, it's fair use. Fair use is a defense. So it means that if you get hit for it, you can then defend yourself, and you're putting yourself in the best defense. It doesn't mean it will stop someone from striking or claiming your channel. It means you have a defense for it and might still have to work through that. This comes up a lot in the context of gaming. Well, I can stream this whole game and they didn't have a problem with it. They didn't have a problem until they did. And we've seen that with games with music in them, because the game manufacturer or producer who released the game has licensed that music. Like Call of Duty has music in it. That music's been licensed to be in the game for the end user at home playing the game. That music isn't licensed for you to stream on YouTube. Even though you're streaming Call of Duty, the music in it could be a problem, not the game. And we're seeing this right now. There's a fight over the Olympics, a pair of figure skaters did not get clearance on a song that they used, and the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, were broadcast on what, NBC, ABC? I don't remember what network.
I think
NBC.
NBC. I think NBC.
Yeah. And so NBC got sued. The skating pair got sued, like, and a ton of other people, by the group that said you didn't have the rights to use our music, and you definitely didn't have the right to play it on television. So these are things that matter. This happens, you know, if you wanted to film a kid's dance recital or gymnastics performance where they're using music and then you upload it onto YouTube, you can get binged for that because it's got music in the background. Hell, you vlog in a store that has music in the background, it can be a problem. So music is going to catch you first. Other works may catch you, and this is aside from people that will try to strike channels maliciously, which is a whole separate part of YouTube, and that unfortunately does happen. It's something I think YouTube, I don't criticize YouTube often, but it's something I think YouTube could improve at, is making sure that they are keeping an eye on who is maliciously trying to copyright strike channels when content is being used regularly for criticism or commentary.
Yeah, I do want to touch on that a little bit more in a bit. And we did cover what fair use is. I just have some general questions that I feel like I find people asking quite often. Rob, I didn't mean to cut you off there before we get into these.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Emily, from I guess a professional opinion through your experience, do you think YouTube currently does a good job handling copyright so that it doesn't go further down the line to having to defend yourself in the courts, or do you think there's still room for improvement?
I think there's room for improvement, but I think the system is pretty good because it does actually allow for meaningful response. This is happening on Twitter right now, so I'm just going to juxtapose the two platforms because I think Twitter generally is a steaming dumpster fire, though I'm on there all the time. But Twitter has been completely scrubbing accounts for sharing TikToks where there is music that is copyrighted. So people are getting copyright takedown claims on Twitter because of music that was in a TikTok, because TikTok has the licensing rights to share that. But when you share it off platform, Twitter doesn't have the licensing rights for that music. So this happened to a YouTuber that I am friends with recently. Their entire account got shut down. The problem with that is on Twitter, all of your replies have to go through Twitter. But if your account's been locked out, you can't reply through Twitter. YouTube gives you a really good opportunity to reply, to figure out what you did wrong. And when you get a copyright claim, they will tag the minute mark of what that video is and say, this is the offending portion of your video. So YouTube gives you more information than any platform I have seen, and they give you a meaningful opportunity to respond. So if you are actually doing something that you're legitimately allowed to do, I have won every copyright claim I've had on my channel. I've also had channels use my content, and I've had the opportunity to go in and reach out to the channel and be like, hey, you've just re-uploaded my video. That's not okay. There's no commentary. There's no transformative use. There's nothing. You've just re-uploaded my video, and that's not cool with me. YouTube gives you an opportunity as a creator to reach out before you claim or strike someone's channel. So it does give you opportunities on both ends. So I think the problem with YouTube that I see that could be improved, and again, I don't know how they would improve this, but is looking at the people who are habitually flagging in a malicious way, because that does happen, to try to take channels down. I'm not sure where the solution is, but I think there needs to be a solution in there somewhere. Because again, we saw it was a anime channel or a gaming channel that had like 100 plus copyright strikes all at once from a Japanese company, and this required YouTube to take a look. And Dan, you're probably familiar with the story more than I am, exactly what the content was, but it required YouTube to take a look at, oh, well, you get 3 in 90 days and your channel is down. You get 100, but you can't resolve one till the next one's responded to. And YouTube went in and changed their system. So when you get those mass copyright strikes, because now this is going to happen in gaming more than anything. Now a game creator is like, oh, we aren't allowing this anymore. We're going to go claim all of those videos. YouTube's allowing you to respond to them all at once instead of waiting 90 days to respond to each one, which would take what, like 45 years or something to respond to 100. So that is something that is going to be happening. The other issue YouTube is struggling with copyright laws is the copyright laws in different countries are different. YouTube is a US based company. It has a lot of US based creators, but not all of the source material is under the copyright laws of the US. And that's also a rub to using copyrighted material on YouTube. And this is going on in LawTube right now too. There's a legal streamer who has been streaming publicly available trials, and some of those are being streamed through a network called Law and Crime. And Law and Crime has not only sent them a cease and desist, but is trying to claim their videos as well, saying you can't use these streams. We own the copyright in them. Well, Law and Crime, I don't think, owns the copyright in them. But you don't want to be the one fighting with a major network saying, I actually don't think you can legally have the copyright on it, because if you're not a lawyer, you're going to have to pay someone to fight that on your behalf, and it's going to be quite expensive.
Yeah. Well, I have a few questions here that I see people.
Sorry, I soliloquy. This gets very, it's so fascinating, but it's so complex. But intellectual property matters, and YouTube is trying to accommodate for that so that it doesn't become a platform where you're just ripping off other people's intellectual property, because a lot of those people are the advertisers.
Well, to help clear this up, this is like more or less FAQs, like things I either see people doing or legitimately just asking us.
Yeah.
So we can go through these pretty quick if you want. Can I use my favorite, for example, Britney Spears song if I just simply credit her in the description?
No. Well, actually, it depends. What are you using it for? How are you using it? And do you expect to be monetized? Some of the music licensing entities will just, like Dolly Parton, will just say, hey, the video won't be monetized, but I will leave it up. I won't take it down. It really depends who owns the music at the end of the day and whether they will let you keep it up. There's a great channel called Twins the New Trend that is a music reaction channel. And it's like twins listen to Dolly Parton, Jolene for the first time, and they react to it. But they're not getting monetized on that video. But they can have the video up reacting to the music, and the monetization would go to whatever the licensing group is for Dolly Parton. Some music entities will split it. They're such a great channel. Some music entities will split the licensing with you. Some will block it in certain countries. So it really is something you have to go into understanding what you're using it for and how it will affect your channel. I love their reaction style channel, and there's a lot of music reaction channels that are using it in a commentary way. But if this was somebody trying to do sports commentary with the NFL, I don't think they're going to allow you to re-upload even 30 seconds of a clip of a game on YouTube and give commentary on it without it being a larger problem, because that's the way they roll. So when it comes to, can I just use my favorite Britney Spears song? It really depends on how you're using it, what you're using it for, and what your expectations are. But you can try to record your video and upload it for the checks on private and see what the check system on YouTube says. That doesn't mean they won't come back down the road and say this can't be monetized. What you don't want to do is risk your channel by getting a copyright strike. So make sure if you're using that song, you're using it in a way that is actually proper, not just a re-upload.
Similar question, but for redundancy purposes, I'm going to ask anyway. What about clips from my favorite YouTuber like Mr. Beast? As long as I credit him in the description, can I please use them on my videos?
Only if they fall under fair use. So if they fall under fair use where you are giving a, I should do this. Thank you for the idea. I need to do a lawyer reacts to Mr. Beast. Can he get sued series? Like,
yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Squid Game, hide and go seek, whatever it is. Can Mr. Beast get sued? Dumping stuff in people's backyard without their permission, all of it. So I should do that. That's a fantastic idea. But that would be commentary where you're using a clip and transforming it by providing expert commentary on it. If you're just re-uploading clips, that's never fair use. That's just stealing. Don't steal other people's shit. But if you are giving commentary on the growth and transformation of Mr. Beast and use those clips. Colin and Samir do this very, very well. They talk about the journeys of creators and use clips of the creator in a fair use, transformative way. And so one of the things I always say, because this is not legal advice. Where you're located, how you do your channel is always something that it will depend on. But looking at how other channels that do this well do it is a great help. So look at a channel like Colin and Samir and go, oh, how are they using these clips and how are they providing something transformative about them? You also have to keep in mind that if you are providing a substitute for the original work, so if somebody doesn't have to go see the rest of it on the other location where it is, it's more likely that it's not okay to use. I've shouted out so many creators today.
You did.
I feel like I've given people resources to go look at other creators that do this.
I would add that this can be somewhat of a challenge for creators to protect their own content. I might be wrong about this, but as far as I'm aware, that the copyright tool within a YouTube studio will tell a creator when somebody else is using their content on YouTube. But if you're a large channel, you could be getting hundreds, if not thousands, of these updates every single week. How do you police that? And I know there are some companies now who are reaching out to creators saying, hey, we'll manage your content for you and make sure that if anybody else is using it, we'll get it monetized for you. But I can imagine for, let's say the average creator has got maybe 100,000 subscribers and they're getting millions of views, and there's still a one man or one woman creator. I could imagine, especially for a shorts channel, I could imagine that being an absolute nightmare trying to keep track of who's using their content and how much is it fair use.
Yeah. And I don't know if do you get notified with shorts? I mean, I've only had people use longer videos. I have not seen people aren't using my shorts. I mean, nobody's even watching my shorts. It's totally fine. But it is hard for a creator to decide where the boundaries are. And on my channel, if you want a full deep dive breakdown, on my channel, I break down the Ethan Klein, Matt Haas lawsuit. Ethan Klein was giving commentary on one of Matt Haas's like short, cringy kind of short movies, very, very early 2000s YouTube. It's nostalgic for that reason. He had formally copyrighted those works the way you would copyright a song or a motion picture or a TV show. And you can copyright those things. And the court went through the fair use analysis. The thing is, a fair use analysis depends on that judge's understanding and how friendly or not friendly that judge may be to fair use. So it really is a roll of the dice, and sometimes a very expensive roll of the dice. And not surprisingly, Ethan Klein's going through this again with Triller over the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight. And that litigation is now 3 lawsuits that is probably cost at least $200,000 at this point, and they're just at the beginning. So I do cover this on my channel. It is a hard thing to parse. And then as creators, we see creators like a Trisha Paytas working with companies that will go and copy claim every single clip of their video across the internet, telling the creator, hey, we'll get you the money back for it. But it also puts that creator at odds with other creators. And Trisha Paytas came out and said, I don't know who's claiming my videos. I've never seen a penny and haven't agreed with them. So that is a problem too, in that like with MCNs, there can be good ones, but there can be really bad ones. And if you're not careful when you work with some of these copy claiming companies, they will have you sign over the copyrights of your content to them so that they can go and claim it on your behalf. There is a TikTok creator who had a video go viral. And when a video goes viral on TikTok, like millions and millions and millions overnight viral, a company reached out and was like, hey, this is getting blasted everywhere. I can get you back the money for it. Let's do these copyright claims, and actually had her sign over the copyrights to her own viral video. And she had to fight to get it back just because she didn't know. And on a platform like TikTok, where things go viral faster than they do on a platform like YouTube, you can have creators who have never had anything go viral and just don't know who to ask and are trying to figure it out. And these companies pounce on them immediately. So always be mindful if somebody says they're going to copy claim things for you, because you need to know what they're actually doing and what they're saying that they're doing. So
before the edge of the internet, this would be where American Home Video would say, we'll pay you $250 and we'll show your video on our television program. And it would be fine in that case because there was zero distribution platforms, but you were effectively selling your copyright, I guess, the ownership of that content to American Home Videos. And who knows, 25 years later, they could still be using that in montages everywhere. And now you're thinking, hang on, I made that video 25 years ago and it's got 10 million views on TikTok. And I haven't ever seen other than the first $250 that I got in 1987.
Yep. This happened with a early day YouTube viral video, the Honey Badger. It's one of my favorite YouTube videos. It's very seminal in my life. There were mugs, like Tervis mugs that said Honey Badger don't care. Like it became a meme in early day meme culture. But he only copyrighted and trademarked parts of it and got into a huge fight with Hallmark because he had trademarked Honey Badger don't give a shit. And so Hallmark started selling cards that said Honey Badger don't care. And it was Hallmark was trading on the meme with slight variations and it became a whole thing. So I guess part of this is if you go viral, a lawyer is not a bad thought to have a phone call about how to adequately capitalize on that moment, but also how to protect yourself in that moment. And if it's going viral in a negative way, crisis PR is actually a real thing that can help. So those are like Emily tips for the day. Emily, just the tip, not legal advice for the day. I saw the questions. Can I answer a question that I saw? Because I got distracted.
Oh, sure.
I saw a couple people asking about things like iMovie and the music in iMovie. iMovie has created those royalty free and for your use. So iMovie does not claim those. There are other companies that do this as well. What I have found a problem with is sometimes when people go to not well-known platforms and try to say, hey, I would like to have a couple pieces of music for people to use and put them out there, you get wonky third parties sometimes claiming them, and it can be a problem. So stick to things like iMovie. I know there's Endemic Sound and there are others. Most of the YouTubers that use kind of vibe music in the background of their videos will link where their music is coming from. And you can take a look at some of those larger creators that do that. I never put music in the back of my videos. Maybe I should.
It's interesting because we do now have in StreamYards this music, but let's see. Does it say? You see, nowhere on this control deck does it say that this is 100% copyright royalty-free music that you can use on YouTube. I just assume it is. But we run the risk a little bit here by running this music.
From StreamYard about the music being copyright free and streaming friendly when the feature came out, but it's not in the it's definitely not in the background.
Oh, here it says you won't have any copyright issues on the social platforms. All right, so it does say that.
There you go.
And we can assume we can trust StreamYards when they say that.
So they ran it through lawyers. Well, I know lawyers ruin everything. I'm sorry. It's how we keep ourselves employed. It's just a giant hamster wheel of lawyers making problems.
I mean, solving problems is one way to think about it. If you want a positive spin.
Well, yes, we create the problems so we can solve them.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you stay in business. I was going to ask, reaction channels. We've already kind of touched on this quite a bit, but what are maybe as a lawyer, what are your tips, like some best practices if people are trying to keep their reaction channel from being demonetized or just getting to monetization in the first place? What are some things that they could be doing to make sure they are as safe as possible and they're reacting to whatever it is they react to?
You need to make sure it's actually transformative. So it can't be 20 minutes of a TV show and then you being like, wow, that was great. It has to be actual transformative use. You have to add something to the use so that the thing is different. It's not just somebody watching the original source work. They are taking something new away. It's like all the great channels that do, these top 5 Easter eggs in the new trailer for whatever Marvel movie it is. I love those. You get like seconds of a trailer and then you get a whole breakdown on what it is, and then seconds of a trailer and a whole breakdown. If you want to watch the trailer, that's not the place to go. You're not going to get a smooth playthrough of the trailer. It is very commentary heavy, and you can't even watch the clean trailer in those because it's so spliced up. So making sure you understand what you are adding to the work to make it different. Reaction is not just like, whoa, you have to add to the work. And so thinking of it as commentary, as breakdown, and adding more to it is really the heart of that, and keeping that in mind as you are creating. Also, don't use, if it's a 15-minute show and you're doing 5-minute chunks, you're probably going to get binged on it because you're not adding anything new and you are replacing the source work.
So we're getting some really good, not just questions, but like topics of discussion from the chat. I have one more of my own, and then I want to move on to some of these as we kind of ease into Q&A. So this is probably a question for both you and Rob, but what is it that shorts are doing differently? I know this is kind of throwing people in a loop. I'm seeing more and more people ask, like, how come I'm watching YouTube shorts and not only am I hearing popular songs, but I'm being encouraged to use them?
Licensing agreements. The platform has made licensing agreements with the distribution companies like BMG that distribute music licensing rights. If you want to know more about music licensing rights, I covered the Taylor Swift Evermore album versus Evermore theme park case and talked quite a lot about licensing rights, because a theme park sued Taylor Swift for naming her album Evermore, but then they were performing her music at their park without paying licensing rights. So she countersued them. It was amazing. And then they all agreed to walk away. Taylor Swift was like, I will destroy you. And they're like, we're sorry we ever sued you, Miss Swift. We apologize. We'll walk away now. But you have to license music. This is not new for the music industry. Well, it's newer for the music industry, which is why you see artists like Kanye West complaining about how much they get paid for streaming rights and that music industry contracts need to change. That conversation aside, licensing with the large music distribution agencies is what allows this to happen. We now have this nailed. TikTok does this, Instagram does this, Facebook through Instagram does this, YouTube does this. The music industry allows those licensing rights because what they're finding is that those stream numbers go up when a song goes viral on TikTok. I'm sure that, when Fleetwood Mac is trending on TikTok, their licensing agency is going, why is Fleetwood Mac charting again? This is a song from the 70s. And that's the power of these short videos using music, which is why the music industry has now acquiesced to allow licensing for those. Twitter, however, does not have those licensing rights and is, as I said earlier, yeeting people for it because they are getting DCMA takedowns from the music licensing agencies because Twitter does not have an agreement there. So do not share music heavy TikToks to Twitter. You could lose your account very quickly.
So there are two things now that can help a musician either dying or going viral on TikTok. I will add that you have to use the copyrighted music via integrated tools. So you can't just add that music to your video editor and then upload it to YouTube. It needs to be done through their mechanisms, or it will still be treated as copyright content. Like, for example, I created a short using the integrated music selection tool. I then downloaded that short and then re-uploaded it. So it was exactly the same video. But because YouTube didn't know that I'd built that video through their tools, it gave me a copyright claim when I re-uploaded it as a test. So all of this has to be done through the tools available on the platform. And I'm still unclear as to whether you are eligible for the Shorts Fund if you're using copyrighted music in your content. I'm sure that's going to be a moot point in 6 to 12 months when the monetization platform evolves on Shorts, but that's also something to consider as to whether you're going to be able to earn any revenue from it.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to fit in with the lights, so I had to change it to blue.
Nice.
Also, with that, what I've noticed as we're talking like across social platforms, Instagram just discontinued as of March 1st all of their on ad or in video ads on their lives. So Instagram, they've already kind of killed IGTV and they had lives. My lives were monetized on Instagram. So you would see an ad before or what have you. They are pushing all of that to Reels. So we are going to see a heavy push of bunny into reels on both TikTok and Instagram. And I think YouTube is going to try to catch up, though I hope they don't run too far down that rabbit hole, because YouTube is the best monetized platform for people who don't do shorter content. And it'll be interesting to see what happens between now having 10-minute TikToks available and having monetization actually be more creator friendly over on YouTube. I just hope that doesn't change too much, said the long form content creator on YouTube. Don't take my money away.
So we got a couple interesting points here from chat. So this is not so much a question, but please talk about us international creators who don't have fair use in our country.
You are governed by the laws in your country.
There we go. It has been talked about.
YouTube has reiterated this with their new policy after that channel got and I don't remember which Japanese cartoon it was that they were doing content on and reaction to and breakdowns of, and I watched the creators' videos and they're like, I have been to conventions, like this company has worked with me and I have worked with this company, and then all of a sudden to get all these strikes. And that's the thing, is companies can be bought and sold, people can change hands, legal departments change over. And so if a legal department says, I know you used to do this, we're not doing it anymore because the company's getting ready to sell, they've got to go lock up all their intellectual property rights before they can sell the company, or the value goes down. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that change this. But YouTube said, look, we are going to base it really on where the creator is, not where the content is from for now. And then the content source can work with YouTube on creating a policy. So you need to understand what the copyright laws are in your country.
I grabbed this one kind of as a pro tip for gaming channels. This person says, I usually mute the music in the game and add different music in editing. So yeah, that's a really common practice, especially when you play games like Grand Theft Auto, which has radio stations that have, legit songs on them.
I love GTA.
Yes.
So much.
But even with indies, if you are playing an indie game on your channel and you're worried about something like this, you can usually, if the settings are there, you can mute the music and add your own. A lot of indie developers don't have their licensing in order. And they may be working on that in the background, but you just never know where that process is at. I mean, you're talking a lot of times about a one-person team making this game. So just for gaming creators, something to keep in mind. And that's definitely something I've seen people do. So before we get into the actual Q&A portion of this live stream, do you want to maybe shift gears a little bit? I don't want to go away from this if anyone has anything else before we get into questions. Final thoughts? No?
I think the final thoughts are copyright's not going anywhere. The restrictions on the interwebs are only getting more strict. And if you're like, this feels like a lot to deal with, now's the time to start dealing with it, because it's not going to go away. It's not going to get more relaxed. And it's always a good time to evaluate the content, especially if you're a newer creator, to evaluate the type of content you want to make. If you don't want to deal with this, don't use clips, don't use other content, just create your own content. And then as your own content grows, learn how to protect your own content. So it's just it's a choice that you make as a creator. But what you don't want to do is start getting strikes on your channel and put your newer channel in jeopardy. The other thing I will say that goes along with this is when you are monetized, and this just recently, again, lessons learned from my channel, YouTube has on the video on demand, a very thorough checklist of what you check. If you get those right, more often than not, YouTube will be less cranky about the things that you upload and will kind of give you a little bit of grace. If you get that wrong, I got a notice that I had gotten 3 wrong in the last Prince Andrew, 3 wrong in the last 90 days. And they're because they considered the content in a way that I didn't consider the content. So it's still a game of trying to learn what YouTube wants when you monetize those. Some of that has to do with copyright. Some of that just has to do with the nature of your content. but it's all part of staying monetized, is making sure that you are giving YouTube as much information as you can. And I know there's a lot of creators out there that are like, YouTube, blah, and get really cranky about this, but it is a learning process between you and the platform. And when you get it right, this platform still pays more than any other, and there's a reason that we love it. So I would see it as a learning experience. Sometimes there's some growing pains to that learning experience, but I would not want to fight against it, but want to figure out how to work within it. And I think YouTube goes above and beyond to try to educate their creators on how to work within it. It's just that we have to take the time to then go and read all of those awful little drop-down menus that keep changing.
Yeah.
My thoughts would be that YouTube should give you enough chances to get a general understanding of copyright, be it through claims or the 3 copyright strikes before your channel's terminated. So it's that should be enough to give you an idea of how copyright generally works, at least on YouTube. I think I would also say copyright has been around for much longer than the internet. And 20 years ago, we all watched television and nobody had access to broadcasting opportunities for their own content. And that has changed massively in the last 15 to 20 years. And I think copyright is still trying to catch up with that. And I think copyright owners are now starting to understand perhaps the value of their content being shared to a certain extent. You know, Emily mentioned how when Fleetwood Mac's music goes viral on TikTok, their sales go up. So there are mutual benefits. So I think as time goes by, it's going to get better for both the creator and the copyright owners when they talk to each other. What I really want from a completely random point of view is I want book publishers to figure out that subscription models really need to be better, because Prime Unlimited is terrible. I don't know why I've gone on that tangent, but I want to read whatever book I want for $10 a month, and I can't do that. When's that going to be fixed?
Very annoying. You know what's coming next, I think, in copyright? Blockchain. Blockchain copywriting and blockchain trademarking, I think, is what's coming up next. So this is going to continue to evolve as technology continues to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
The copyright system is going to be unrecognizable in 5 years. It's going to be completely different.
Should be really, really interesting. So hold on to your hats.
Or just stay tuned in here, like and subscribe.
Or your headphones. Hold on to your headphones.
So real quick, before we get into answering your questions, the way this works is we would love it if you used #question in front of your questions so that we know you are talking directly to us. We have Emily here for, I believe, the next 20 or so minutes, give or take.
Yeah, that's about.
So thank you for being here, Emily. And then Rob and I will be on from there. So please get your copyright related questions ready. And before we get into that, I'm going to quickly show you a vidIQ tool, because not only do we do these fun live streams here at vidIQ, but we also have a whole suite of tools that you can download in your Chrome or Firefox browser using the link down below. You can get 30 days for free if you're a new customer. And you get things like this here, our real-time stats bar, which gives you all kinds of handy information. At a glance, you can see that our channel is getting 2.7K views per hour right now. In the last 48 hours, we've gotten 127,000 views, and it tells us our exact subscriber count. So all of that is very, very handy. And then we have all kinds of tools here that get added to your sidebar, such as daily ideas, 50 ideas every single day that can help you grow your channel. And we can look here and we can see that all these different ideas are being touted as, hey, this is like a good opportunity, very high opportunity here. A lot of all caps today in daily ideas, which is kind of interesting. Some of these, you would look at them. The idea is that you are going to use these to generate ideas for videos. You could use these as titles, but a lot of times people go, oh, that's an interesting concept. I think I would tweak that title. And that's what this whole thing is for. So how to upload YouTube videos on your YouTube channel, kind of an interesting idea, something for somebody who's just getting started, who hasn't even uploaded something on YouTube yet. So we're getting all kinds of things. And then we can say, yeah, how to upload videos. Sure, I'm going to save that idea for later because I might do something on that. And then it goes into your saved ideas list. So that is just one of our AI-powered tools that you can download and try right now, again, for free with the link down below. All right. So
watching
yes.
Daily Ideas try to figure out exactly what I do, because I'll be in like chunks of topics and then I'll move and it's like, where are we? I love it because sometimes it's like, oh, your audience is really interested in this. I'm like, oh, we can do another one.
Yeah, it's for the more variety your channel has. I have seen that where it's kind of like, try this and then try that, and then they're two like totally different things. But sometimes there's a nugget in there. You're like, oh, I didn't think of that actually. Thank you, Daily Ideas. So Rob, thank you for already pulling up some questions.
Yeah.
We can start with maybe this one here. Can I be demonetized if I'm not monetized yet?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? I think the answer to that would be YouTube can still copyright claim your content irrespective of whether you are not monetized yet. I'm still trying to get a firm answer on this question as to if, let's say, all of your content is copyright claimed and you hit 4,000 hours of watch time or 1,000 subscribers and you apply for monetization, are you going to be accepted into the YouTube Partner Program? My gut feeling is no, because YouTube theoretically is already monetizing your content. And what's the point in allowing you into the partner program if all of your content is still going to get copyright claimed? But I can't give that as a confirmed answer. It's just how I would logically think about the YouTube partner process. So it may, the more copyright claims you get, the less likely you may be allowed into the YouTube partner program, but that is not fact.
So I think the interesting remembrance on that is that YouTube can monetize your channel if you're not in the partner program, which is what Rob was kind of touching on. So YouTube can monetize on your channel even if you're not monetized yet. So yes, your videos can get essentially yellowed or claimed, and that monetization go elsewhere, even if you are not in the partner program.
Well, they can even monetize your content if it's got nothing to do with copyright claims. Like if it's just a video that's performing well, and YouTube thinks that they can sell it to the advertiser. But I see that as a good thing in that YouTube is already trusting your content with advertisers, so that once you're in the YouTube Partner Program, they are more likely to advertise your content, sell your content to more advertisers.
Right.
We got some more here. Let's see. Rob, I'm guessing you grabbed this one. I don't know what this is, but someone's saying, please explain strike warnings.
I assume this is where you would get a warning of a copyright strike, but there would be no penalties. I think when you get a copyright strike, you can't, there's some sort of penalty put on your channel, like you can't live stream for a week or you can't upload videos for 2 weeks. So I think the warning might be before that. It's like, hey, you've got a copyright strike. If you get any more, then we're going to start penalizing your channel in various ways.
Gotcha.
Similar to a copyright, a community guideline strike, whereby they'll warn you first before they start penalizing your channel. And that I think that's a permanent warning as well. You know, like strikes and expire after 90 days. I think once you have a warning, then that stays as a permanent record on your channel.
And I think it's something that YouTube looks at, because even when like I applied for my silver play button and other things like the partner manager program, there's a lot of stuff that YouTube and Google do to work with creators, but they go back and look at all of that on your channel to decide if they're letting you into those programs, and decide when you hit creator milestones if they are going to approve your channel for those milestones. So it's something to keep in mind, that it's not all automatic, that is something they track. You have like a permanent record as a creator. It's very strange. It feels very much like high school.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like so anything you put on social media, that's also part of a different record. But yeah, be careful in all directions when you're uploading content. Just remember, this stuff follows you. So question for Rob: YouTube should be original content only, so no so-called fair use, etc. If I'm using someone's music, that equals copyright infringement. So why can others get away with stealing my work? I'm not exactly sure. I thought I understood this question. Now I read it out loud and I do not.
I'm hearing that this individual, Myc Prince, believes that people are stealing their work. They shouldn't. It's just a matter of who's going to enforce it. So on YouTube, there is an algorithm that enforces it. Depending on where your work is getting stolen, you are the algorithm that has to enforce it. And so if you are a creator or a creative that is having an issue with work being stolen, you need to consult with an attorney locally to figure out how you can enforce your rights. And some of that is going to be copywriting, registering the copyright on your work, registering trademarks on your work, and having a IP protection um, strategy with your content. But I'm not saying work doesn't get stolen. I mean, the lawsuit I covered yesterday is over jewelry designers where work is getting stolen. Art gets ripped off all the time. People steal other people's stuff and put it on shirts. It's a matter of who's enforcing it. It doesn't make it legal just because somebody got away with it.
So YouTube has a tool that you can also be looking at. It's in the copyright tab here on the right, and this is matches. So this is YouTube is telling us we think someone might be using your stuff, and they tell you exactly how much of their video matched your stuff. So you can investigate these, and you get a couple options. You can message the creator directly. You can do a removal request, or you can just archive it. Like, I'm not going to bother with this. Please stop letting me know. And then it archives your removal requests. If you have any messages, they're in here. So this is how it kind of all starts. Personally, this is just a very personal thing for me. I don't like using this tool because I have to put a lot of information in when I do a request. And what I tend to do is I look and see how many views is that person even getting with my content. And if it's negligible, if it's not enough to worry about, I just ignore it. You know, I uploaded it first. I got all the views and they didn't. Ha ha ha. Whatever. Waste your time stealing my content, I guess. But there are times where people take people's content and it does better, you know, and then you have to weigh that. Do I want to go through the process of doing a removal request, or do I want to let it go? So we have another one here. I have a copyright claim. I used free music on YouTube. The problem is that I changed the intensity of that music. I used the music as background music, but I received a copyright claim. Oh, it wasn't I grabbed this one. So I thought the way I understood this is they were saying because of the intensity of the music, that's what resulted in a copyright claim, which
shouldn't be.
I wanted to talk about that. Mm-hmm.
It is, even though you thought it was free music, where did the free music come from? Is it really free music? And you can respond to a copyright claim and explain, I got this music from here. It said it was royalty free. That doesn't mean it's right. You have to really look at respected sources for that, because there are sources that are still going to be hitting the YouTube system to get flagged by bots. Like the video clip I had legal obligation to use in my video. Mm-hmm. I still got copyright claimed for it because the company and the algorithm that's copy claiming them is separate from the company that is, or the marketing wing of the company that is working with me as a creator. So it can partly be the algorithm, and copy claims you can respond to and you can explain, and then they have a chance to explain, remove it, or it drops off. So copy claims are not the end of the world. The funds get held in escrow if the video is monetized, and you can deal with it. It actually is a very reasonable system to deal with copy claims. It really is. The copy strike stuff can get a little wild, but the copy claims are really a reasonable system.
So this one here, I think what they're referring to is royalty free, but they just use the word free. They said, how do you know if it's really free? Was it YouTube's audio library or someone said it was free? I'm kind of glad this came up because I was going to talk about this as just a general warning for people. But I'm guessing you mean, how do you know if something's really royalty free? How do you verify that?
Well, you have to use a trusted source, and there are trusted sources for this. You can use iMovie. You can use YouTube's copyright music library. They have a very thorough audio library. Spend some time going through it. Find the ones you like. There's tons of stuff in there. Yeah. YouTube's is probably the fastest and cleanest way to do that, but there are also trusted companies that creators use and promote. I don't use a ton of music, so it's what there. I'm sure the chat can share the names of the ones that they like, but there are companies that do this for YouTube. But if you're really worried about it, start with YouTube's audio music library.
Yeah, I was just showing like March 2022, like they update it constantly.
They do, yeah.
They're adding. When I first started using it, it was rare that I would see music added to it. These days, every month songs get added. So it is frequently updated. You won't, it used to be that you'd hear the same song no matter what creator you were listening to. That song sounds like so-and-so's video, that's
it's
less
that way sometimes.
It is, but it's less common now because they are adding quite a bit. So yeah, trusted source. The thing I was going to warn about is that I've seen so many channels that upload music. They're supposedly music channels, and then in the description they're like, "This is royalty free," and oftentimes there's no verification. There's no way to know for sure. They don't publish any licensing details or anything, and I always avoid those like the plague, because the last thing you need is you stealing music that was stolen from someone else. Like it's a mess. And then also, you don't know if that creator is making the music themselves and then one day decides, actually, I'm tired of this royalty free life. I want to get paid. I want to slice the cake, and millions of people are using my songs. So cha-ching, and there you go. Now we're off to the races.
Wow, that was fast. That was a good use of cha-ching.
You also have to use common sense. For example, if you're able to find the music on the first page of Google in 2 minutes and the website looks reputable, chances are it's not definitely, but it's probably copyright royalty-free music. However, if it's taking you 40 minutes to find the exact music you want on page 7 of Google, just because there's some text on that web page that says that it's royalty-free, you probably want to double check that source.
Yeah. If I live in the UK, do I have to follow US or UK copyright laws?
Follow the laws where you live. And yours
Doesn't
are
it
strict.
Doesn't it though? Your content has issues in the US, but not in the UK. Like, how does that? I don't want to talk up my butt here, but you know
Well,
what I mean?
if you follow the regulation, the US copyright fair use is some of the more lenient. So
Okay.
if you follow where you live, you are not going to get in, because the thing is, YouTube aside, if you are going to get sued for copyright infringement, you are going to get sued for copyright infringement where you live. And I guarantee if you are in the UK and you have an issue with copyright infringement, it is not going to be as fun for you as it was for me when Colin and Cuthbert, the Caterpillar Cakes, were fighting with each other on Twitter over a trademark case that recently settled. But I loved nothing more than Aldi UK's Twitter account joking about being sued by M&S, even though that was probably expensive for all of their legal teams, and their social media teams won the day. But the laws are different. If you need to follow the laws where your butt sits. So where you are sitting is what you need to be most mindful of first. Even if YouTube is more permissive, if you violate the rules where you live, you can be sued for it. Even if YouTube didn't copyright claim or strike it, it can still be an impermissible use and someone can take you to court over it.
So just to clarify then, let's say you are a UK content creator. You've used copyrighted material from a Japanese anime. You've used YouTube, which is an American company, to distribute it, and it's watched by somebody in Chile. It's still UK copyright that's needs to be followed.
That's where I would start. I would start by
Okay.
following UK copyright,
Yeah.
because it would be very hard for a Japanese company to sue you in Japan and try to drag you there. They would really have to come into the UK to sue you there. Now, that doesn't mean that YouTube can't take action based on YouTube's own policies, but even if YouTube had an issue with you, they would generally have to go to the UK to do it based on the way that law and jurisdiction works. So if you are sitting somewhere, the place you are sitting are the laws that you need to worry about first.
Mhm.
I
US
suppose what we
permissive.
should add here is that Leo Fisher Terrain, I haven't checked your channel, but I assume you're a smaller channel, and it's very unlikely that you would ever get to any of these issues. You're probably going to reach the ceiling of YouTube's own copyright claims and copyright strikes process. So I think we're taking this to the extreme just to try and give a full answer.
Lawyer, and so being mindful that I don't want people to walk away saying, "Oh, if YouTube doesn't flag me, I'm in the clear," because YouTube system and the legal system are separate systems. So you can be in the clear on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't have a problem with it, and the copyright owner can still come sue you. So you have to be mindful. You may be able to defend yourself, but if you used something, you are now in the defense. And that is the key takeaway, that just because it might be permissible on YouTube doesn't necessarily mean legal.
I pay Artlist $200 a year, and only once has YouTube's AI system flagged me for a song from Artlist, but they resolved it quickly. This is another, I think I might have grabbed this just as another pro tip. You can use other services like I think we mentioned Epidemic Sound and places like that. You pay a monthly or an annual fee, and then you have access to an even larger song library. You have physical licenses that, so if anything does happen, you can literally respond with, here you go. Like, nope, I have the legal right to use this. It is mildly inconvenient, but it does happen, and you have that recourse thanks to that service. So that's
This
why.
is the same with things like fonts. If you
Yeah.
are grabbing a font for merch that is not a commercially licensed font, you can get binged on it. Like, there are things to know. There are things to know about licensing people's works, because fonts can also be copyrighted. So when you stick to the stuff that's generally available, it might be just a little bit easier to start there.
Let me ask you this. Rob, I'm sorry. I just don't want to forget this. We go to a lot of different YouTube channels, like for Tuesday channel audits, for example, and we'll run into ones. Spider-Man comes up a lot. People review like Spider-Man films or games, or they just talk about whatever, and they'll use pictures from the movies, or they'll use comic book cutouts or whatever in their thumbnail. Does that, generally speaking, fall under fair use? I've never heard of someone getting a copyright claim or a strike from a thumbnail, and people do this all the time, and I have a feeling they don't think about it too much.
Well, look at my channel. Go look at my thumbnails.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're a good example of this.
I generally believe that thumbnails that I am using are transformative use. But I steer away from things that are used from Getty Images, because they tend to be the pettiest. But I try to take things from individuals' own social media accounts or their own videos if I can, or major news outlets. But I use regularly images of public figures or sometimes other creators when I do a collab, which is rare. But I see these as transformative use, because I have transformed the photos. This is not what the original photo looked like. This isn't what the original thing looked like. It's in a completely different context. Some of these are taken from videos, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have transformed it in your thumbnail, I think it's less of a problem. And I have not seen a copyright claim over use on a thumbnail. And people would be like, well, why is it different than the cover of a book? Look, I can't tell you. Legally, I could argue both sides of that, but I think thumbnails are more transient. They're less permanent. And people are going to argue you're not exactly selling a thumbnail. A thumbnail is just a visual depiction of what the video is. So I think there's argument that in thumbnails, that's okay. What I didn't realize is how much Spider-Man is a hot topic. My kid's junior high, in his homeroom class, regularly fights over which Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man. And what surprises me is that this group of Gen Z, junior high school children's love Tobey Maguire. They love Tobey Maguire. And it's constantly shocking to me. They hate Andrew Garfield. It's
That's
so
interesting.
odd. Isn't that strange? Anyway.
I mean, and it stinks that now all those kids are getting sued too by Disney for even talking, or Sony by even mentioning it. But it just happens.
I need to do an entire series on the copyright at hand with Spider-Man, because it is such a freaking mess of who's been, like, if you want to go down the rabbit hole in licensing, how Marvel has burst up different intellectual property and who it went to and who's got it back and who's allowed to make movies. Not only has it made some of the universes disastrous, but it is, it is a lot. There's a lot there. And then you've got licensing going on now with like Disney Plus trying to pull all this stuff off of Netflix, like Daredevil and Jessica Jones and stuff, pull it off of Netflix and back to Disney Plus. And this is the thing. Things change hands. Ownership of copyright changes hands. Legal, the lawyers involved in things change hands, and opinions can change. So what may have been like lightly permissible may no longer be permissible. And this will come up in the video game world. If you have, who's acquiring Activision, which seems like a terrible idea. Microsoft. As Microsoft acquires Activision Blizzard in the midst of all of their legal woes, they might have a completely different perspective on how to allow game streaming. So they've bought it now and they're like, this is ours now, bitches. And they could go and copyright claim every stream of that and be like, we're no longer allowing these streams to exist. We're no longer allowing game streams to happen. So you never know when it might change.
Right. I don't, for anyone panicking, I don't think that's something they'll do because a lot of Microsoft games, I don't know, but I don't think so just because Microsoft has a standard right now of allowing people to make videos and stream.
Minecraft, for example.
Let's change hands. I think Minecraft is better for allowing people to stream their games. I think things like the Dream SMP server and stuff have made Minecraft a much more desirable property than any advertising could ever pay for. I also think a lot of lawyers need to just, chill. And the problem is the lawyers who tend to be making these decisions are my father's age, and my dad still is tripped out that his cell phone can connect to his hearing aids. So this is the level of technology that these lawyers are familiar with. It is not the young lawyers just coming out of law school in their mid-20s who grew up with technology that are making these ultimate decisions. The lawyers that are in and the judges that are in the positions of power did not grow up with technology. I'm on the cusp of that in my mid-40s, but I would still be a very younger edge of being a judge, and federal judges are in their 60s and above. So we are dealing with also an aging legal decision-making population that isn't as familiar with technology. And we've seen this, pardon me while I rant about technology, we've seen this in trial after trial. Not to make it, this is such a political case, but it mattered so much. In the Rittenhouse trial, they were arguing for a half a day over pinch and zoom on an iPhone and whether the detective pinching and zooming interpolated pixels on an image of Rittenhouse holding a weapon, and how pinch and zoom worked and what the pixels did, because it matters in trials. It's happening in a digital evidence case with Josh Duggar. They're arguing over EXIF data on iPhones. And you can tell that the judges are struggling to understand what this means. So for your channel, put yourself in the best position to defend by trying to do it right to the best of your ability, knowing that the people making the decisions are not necessarily as tech savvy as you are. This is particularly endemic with lawyers. I mean, I spent half my career, it felt like, at the DA's office teaching people how to open their email because they just didn't want to spend the time to learn. So the legal field is not super tech savvy. Yep. But watching a half a day of trial of people arguing over pinch and zoom was fascinating. It was fascinating.
Yeah. Well, it really shines the spotlight on, just how far we still need to go to, catch everybody up.
Yep.
I forgot which question I was on here.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
The Atlas one, I think, Dan.
Oh, okay. I got, so we did this one. Okay,
Yes.
so then this one. Why do I occasionally get copyright claims for music in my videos, but the song they claim isn't even remotely close to the royalty-free music? Wait a minute, what?
It sounds like they're saying that the algorithm is picking up a song and identifying it as something other than what it is. You need to respond to it. Remember, these are algorithms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can definitely respond to it. It might be, it might just be inconvenience for you for now.
Also, pick a different song if it keeps happening.
Yes, don't use the same. Pick a different artist, pick a different song. Like, try to just get out of that. I wouldn't want to deal with that inconvenience.
It might be that the underlying characteristics, the beat or the tempo or whatever the AI it picks up on, are substantially similar enough that. Because I imagine that the AI has broader parameters so that you can't just try to speed up a song or slow it down to get around the AI. And that might be that whatever you have used is substantially similar enough to something else that it's swooping it up in there. But again, copyright claims are not going to damage your channel. You can respond to them. They're just going to hold up your monetization. I've noticed that claims don't damage my reach either, copyright claims. But
Correct.
the Demoned yellow, that has throttled my reach on some videos.
Yeah, because it's not physically, it's digitally restricting the reach of a video depending on demographics and audiences.
It's the worst.
Will I be monetized if I do lyric videos of music that haven't gotten content or copyright claims? So I guess they're saying as of yet they haven't experienced this, but when they're working towards monetization, is that going to be a problem for them?
I have no idea how they decide monetization.
Yeah. I guess ultimately it would be for you to just get to that point and then see if they accept or deny you access.
Because you're building a channel on someone else's content.
Yeah, it doesn't sound transformative enough. It's like it sounds like you're adding to it. So if you just have a song and you make a lyric video, that could be great for like a portfolio piece if you're trying to get work as a video editor or something like that, or a graphic artist or something. But I don't think you can. I don't know if that's transformative enough to clear you for fair use and then get monetized on that content.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, and I guess we kind of touched on this one already. I pulled it up. I was hit with a copyright claim for using music for my video editing software that is said to be copyright free, and I guess that is another matter of you have to respond to that.
And same as the last, it might just be that it's close enough that it got swooped up by the digital algorithm that determines these things. And I would suggest trying different music from your editing software, or again, finding stuff that you like from YouTube's own library, because we know that that's already run past their checks and YouTube's already made sure that that's fine.
So Emily, I know you do have to leave. Not that I'm kicking you out. You're welcome to change your mind. But if I just wanted to let everybody have.
Are we canceling Emily?
Yes.
I'm not trying.
I'm canceled for talking about Prince Andrew anyway. It's fine. It made a very rough month.
All I'm trying to do is give Emily a proper send-off.
A proper escape. Do we have any other? I know you've got a few more starred. Do we have anything else that's copyright heavy, and we can do one more, and then I can? Or are those all getting into how to grow my channels?
Let's
do a quick fire round, Dan. Like we got 5 left, so like 1 sentence answers to each.
Okay, so we are no. I'm going to save one of those for us. So this one is: can you get problems posting your own content on other platforms like Reddit?
Copyright wise, no. If it's fine, it's fine. It doesn't matter where you post it. If you have used licensed music on TikTok, Instagram, what have you, that can create a problem on Reddit because you're taking it off platform if you're trying to scrape it with the music, because that platform doesn't have it. The other problem is Reddit has its own internal rules. So sometimes you can't even post your own content on something like Reddit. So it depends on their internal rules. But from a legal copyright standpoint, no.
By the way, Rob and I are still here for another 45 minutes, just so everyone knows. I didn't want it to seem like the stream was ending. How do I protect myself from the author when they give me permission to use their stories, screenshots of that permission enough, like a DM conversation, whatever? I do a narration channel.
If you're doing a narration channel of literary works, you would generally need a release. I would not feel comfortable with screenshots of the permission being enough where somebody says, yeah, okay, because it's going to be much harder to defend in court. I would consider doing a release. I also recommend appearance releases for things like podcasts and collaborations. I know a lot of creators don't do them, but it might be worth looking at getting a formal release saying, yes, I allow you to narrate this and not change it. I realize that you will then have the rights to have that up in perpetuity, et cetera, et cetera. So I would do a release. An email conversation can help, but it's not as good as having them sign off saying, yes, you can narrate this and keep it up on your channel.
And last copyright question here is: I want to use copyright songs, movie clips, and other clips in my shorts and some of my normal videos too. Sometimes I don't get any copyrights. So will this affect me getting monetized in the future? We've kind of answered this one a number of times today.
Yeah, just you're walking a tightrope. Okay, sometimes YouTube's not finding them, sometimes it is, but ultimately, I think by asking this question, you know that you're in a gray area and you're trying to brush up against what's right and wrong. And if it sounds like you think you're 49% in the right, sorry, 51% in the right, 49% in the wrong, it could easily tilt one way or the other. So dangerous game.
How you use them.
So yeah, Emily, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. If you guys learned and you enjoy the law, we are trying to hit 200,000 subscribers. So go on and subscribe. I'm the Emily D. Baker all over the interwebs.
Intergrams.
I'm all over the intergrams at Emily D. Baker. We are so close to 199. But YouTube occasionally goes through and like swoops large swaths of subscribers. So that's always interesting too, because I started getting comments of like, hey, I thought I was subscribed and then I wasn't. It's so much fun.
Oh, not this myth again. Oh,
it happens. People get subscribed.
Whatever.
It's happened to me.
It happened.
Oh, you're both conspiracy theorists, are you?
It literally has happened to me.
Not a conspiracy theorist.
Prove it.
Happens. And
How do you prove that?
Well, I can show you all the comments of people saying
screenshot
subscribed, and I will screenshot the comments.
Screenshot every channel you subscribe to, and then check every single day if you still subscribe to them.
I'll screenshot every day,
and then I'll just say, yeah, but you unsubscribed and you just took a screenshot.
You're sleeping. You got your phone.
You accidentally unsubscribed. It happens.
Sleep unsubscribing.
I love being here. I will see you guys next month. We will talk about something legal and streaming and YouTube and great. And you guys go get your money on YouTube. It's still the greatest platform to be monetized on. So, you know, the rules might feel picky, but it's way easier than like, I don't know, going and working at Starbucks. That seems hard. They have a lot of drinks to memorize. Yes. Like the rules here are way less. So thank you all, and I will see you soon.
Bye, Congrats on 200 subscribers in advance.
Thank you. We'll be there soon.
See you, Emily. And then there were two.
There were two.
So thank you, everybody. We're still taking your questions. #question. I guess, Rob, now we can open it up a little bit more to just general YouTube questions. Yeah.
Dan, you mentioned that my microphone was maybe a little hot. I tweaked it a little bit. Does it sound better now?
I think so.
And yeah, people, please do let me know in the comments if you think this microphone sounds good. I got it yesterday, so I'm still tweaking it. There's tons of software options to make it sound more bassier or more flat and so on. So I'm looking forward to playing around with this, but I want to make sure that you still get a good audio quality while I'm trying to get it to its best standard.
So we have a question here that is going to inevitably lead to a plug for a new vidIQ product. Do you fellas offer YouTube counseling if paid? We actually do. Rob and I personally, not so much. Let me try to pull this up in the background here.
We offer our free counseling every Tuesday in channel audits.
Yes, but we now offer group coaching. So for the price of $150 a month, you can join our group coaching program. You'll have access to at least 2 one-hour group coaching sessions done via Zoom every month. You get a Q&A with 3 of our YouTube growth experts, and you are provided a private Discord channel where you can talk not only with other people in the group coaching program, but with these experts as well. So you have direct access to them constantly. And then we also upload our previous recordings. So if you join today, you can still watch the previous lessons. And this goes way deeper than we do in these streams or in channel audits. So this is what I wanted to bring up. We also do have one-on-one coaching as well. And that's on the vidIQ website if you look at our plans. But this is brand new, and I would say at the price point, a lot more accessible. This is going to help you build your business. Our coaches are people who have helped people go from hobbyists on YouTube to actual full-time creators who are hiring staff and video editors and the like. So that is money well spent. It is an investment into your channel and into your future. So if it's something you want to do, give it some thought. Check out vidIQ group coaching.
If you want some counseling, you can do it. You've got this. Keep going. Fight hard. Create every day. I believe in you.
There you go. See? That was free. Is that the beacon mic?
Yes, it is the beacon mic. So I must confess, I was very influenced by certain YouTubers who were touting the benefits of it, Alpha Gaming being one of them.
Oops.
And I've purchased it, and I think it's working well. It comes with some really cool software as well for mixing, because I've been trying to figure out for ages how I can get just my sound effects, but not my computer sounds or anything else into the same audio output as my microphone. And I was just going through it this morning, and I've learned how to do it. So Hashtag not sponsored, not affiliated. So far, I would recommend this microphone. Another really cool thing as well is that, and I found this out, and I had to tell somebody last night. I was saying, Dan, can you believe it does this? This can be just powered by USB, but you can plug it into a camera. So you could use it just as any other microphone. It doesn't require preamps or XLR cables. You would just plug it into a camera through the headphone jack. And then it could be not only your microphone on computer, but also on a camera as well. And that's pretty exciting as well.
So we are getting some other questions here. So thank you everyone for sticking with us here. Why are YouTube Shorts so unreliable for views? Do you get spikes, fluctuations? And then we have another one here. Why does YouTube not recommend my shorts? So we'll focus more on this one, but it's kind of, I think, a similar answer. But it's the simplest answers we don't know. YouTube, just like all of their secret algorithms, they are secret. We just have a lot of good ideas about what works and what doesn't. And when it comes to shorts, I've been working on different theories that I have, Rob, and then you can share some of yours too.
Yeah.
So here's how I want you to think about this. It's just, we're going down a common sense road here right now. When you're in the YouTube app and you click on the shorts button, or you go into the shorts shelf, especially the short shelf, you see something in there that's interesting, right? A title and a very weird freeze frame thumbnail, and you're like, oh, a video of a cat. And so you click on it and you watch the short. And then when it's done, you can swipe to the next one, but you have no clue what it's going to present to you next. And this is how the majority of people are watching shorts. And if that is true, then that means the freeze frame thumbnail that you have on your shorts doesn't matter a whole lot. The title you create for your shorts doesn't matter a whole lot. And all of it comes down to the content within. So as long as you have decent editing skills, storytelling skills, you're likely to do very, very well in shorts. Typically, what I've noticed, I've tested a lot of different shorts on a lot of different channels, and typically what I've noticed is YouTube has given, I would say 95% of any short I've ever uploaded a chance. It goes somewhere in the YouTube Shorts ecosystem, and then it takes a little bit of data from the people who watch it and decides, am I going to keep pushing this? Is this something I'm going to keep sharing? That's where we don't know. We don't know what factors it judges on, but we are guessing. Likes matter, engagement in general. Do people watch it more than once? So that's why people tout doing loops. All of these things kind of matter. So there's things you can do to make your short more enjoyable, and it just takes practice like anything else. One thing I'm suggesting to people is if you're using the Shorts software on the YouTube app, add some of those trending sound effects and music that they have. They have a whole library and tells you what's trending. Like if your video calls for it, throw 15 seconds of like a song in there, you know? These are all things you can do to help your shorts get past that initial viewing period. But those are my thoughts.
I only really have one thought, and that's to do with the spikes and fluctuations. I feel as if views are very different on a short as opposed to video on demand, because the thing that shorts lack are impressions, in that viewers don't get much choice as to what they watch on shorts. YouTube decides for the viewer, like what comes up next when you swipe. So what I feel as if YouTube does is that for a short period of time, be it 6 to 12 hours, they will give you a dump of views, which are actually technically, I think, impressions. They're giving viewers the opportunity to decide whether or not they like this piece of content. And if you get positive signals, such as high audience view duration and possibly likes, comments, engagements, then instead of just a spike, the video will have a bit more longevity. But that's just my own speculation in terms of how views are somewhat different in the shorts realm as opposed to video on demand, because thumbnails and titles mean less, which I think Dan was alluding to as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm having a hard time finding my niche. I'm trying to do a gaming commentary channel. Any tips you would give? I think the most important thing is, what is it that you're passionate about? It comes down to that very human question. Like, what do you like? What do you love? What's something when you go to a party you just don't shut up about? You're like you're that person. You come in and like, oh my gosh, it's the Sonic guy. This dude. What do you mean the Sonic guy? He doesn't shut up about Sonic. Like, just wait for it. 3, 2, you walk up and you're like, guys, did you see the new commercial for the Sonic movie? Like, whatever that is for you, that should be your niche. Now, research goes into that. Is there an audience that wants to hear me talk about the Sonic movie trailers? Do your research. And then if you find, no, I'm the only person in the world, then explore some other interests you have, do some research, see if there's an audience for them. But it always needs to come back to something. What is it that you like to do? Because I can't tell you, play this game because it's trending. Because what if you don't like that game? I don't want you to start trying to like it just because that Dan guy said to like it, so I'm just going to have to now. Like, I've tried that. I've tried to chase that before. Like, that's a trending game or a trending topic. I'm going to do that. But I hated it, but I thought I'll get views. And it showed that I didn't like it when I was making the video, and people didn't stick around and it didn't get recommended anymore. I didn't get the views. I just wasted my time doing something I didn't like. So that's my answer.
Sounds like you have some real personal experience with Sonic guys, Dan.
I don't.
I would say gaming commentary is already a very competitive, saturated niche in itself. So on the one hand, you have lots of examples of creators who are really successful in this space. So you can research them and figure out why you or other viewers watch them. Because they probably do something very different. But at the same time, you now have to do something different to all of the existing creators to stand out in that very competitive space. So I'm trying to figure out if your niche is like the format of your content. Like, you want to play this game, or you want to talk about this game passionately, but how do you execute that in a way that's going to appeal to viewers? And we did a video about this recently. I'm trying to remember what it was called, where basically YouTube's suggestion is when you're looking at a topic, there's 2 ways you can approach this, and that is to be better than anybody else, like make the best tutorials or the best edited content, or you do a fresh approach perspective to that topic or content. And so it might be worth watching that video if you have the chance.
There you go. Sarah asks, speaking of copyright, where do you get the sound effects like the children cheering?
I think I've just amassed these sound effects from all sorts of places over many periods of time. Some of them are well known because they're kind of a staple meme sound effects. So that does raise the question of, hey, that's definitely from Metal Gear Solid. Isn't that copyright protected? Hey, that's definitely Prince Andrew's The Price is Right failure theme tune. Isn't that copyrighted? And there is an argument for that. I guess what we would say is that we're using this in a parody sense, fair use, transformational. It's a very small sample that we're using for comedic moments. But yeah, I think actually Think Media have published 2, because I grabbed some of the sound effects directly from the Think Media videos where they said common meme sound effects on YouTube.
Oh, well, there you go. So transformative use, I guess, is the short answer to that.
Aye.
I guess you grabbed this. Highs need a little lowering. Crackles on my end when you scream.
Okay, so since people are talking about this a little bit, let's do some live audio editing here.
Oh boy, everyone loves that.
Yeah. So I think what they're meaning, Dan, you can probably help me with this. This is just to give you an insight into the software. So the highs are here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the highs need a little lowering. So I would assume that I need to bring this down a little bit. To about, I don't know, I'll try there. There's still a lot more tools here that I'm trying to learn about, but I don't know if that made a subtle adjustment to my audio. But yeah.
I didn't hear any crackling on my end, but I guess I'm not listening for it. But yeah,
some people are really tuned into this, though. They have hearing that's just tuned into whether these subtle changes make a big difference.
Yeah. Did you mean to grab this next one on our list here? Because I'll skip it.
What was the next one? Hang on, I need to stop sharing. Where's Right, there we go. Stop sharing. So the next one is, yes, I did, Dan. I did actually.
Okay,
So bring this up. Okay. So the reason I brought up this question is to give you the answer of, I believe that YouTube is one of the most diverse and welcoming platforms for most types of content. So no, I don't believe YouTube is racist. What I will say is that just like any private enterprise or company, they have their own policies and rules, and sometimes that doesn't align with all users. So something that you think is not appropriate, it's something that you think should be broadcastable on YouTube, and YouTube decide isn't, then you have to accept that's YouTube's policies. And if you don't like it, I would imagine there are other alternative video platforms where you can either air the content that you want to broadcast, or you can watch the content that is appropriate for your values, morals, and ethics.
There you go.
And that is an eggshell question that Dan is going to avoid and move on to the next one.
No, you answered it beautifully.
Thank you.
What are the best thumbnail making apps for beginners on PC?
I will give you the blanket answer of, it doesn't matter if you're on a PC or a Mac. Canva seems to be the tool that everybody is really pushing right now. I'm too used to using Photoshop and Snagit, which give me a lot of flexibility. But hey, sometime, maybe one day, we do need to try and look at Canva and see if it has potential.
One mistake I see people make when they use sites like Canva is that Canva offers a lot of templates, and people like to try a lot of the templates.
Yeah,
but it makes your thumbnails look like they've come from all sorts of different places and creators and stuff. So really, use it as a tool for making thumbnails if you're going to do that, but just make sure that you develop over time a consistent thumbnail strategy. Don't just try random themes because you think maybe this will work, but it is a free tool that you can use.
On the other side of that spectrum is when you have templates, everybody is using those templates. So how does your thumbnail stand out from the other templates that are being used?
Right. There's a bunch, but another one I've seen people use a lot that's an alternative to Photoshop is called GIMP, I think.
Yep.
So that's if you're way into having a lot more features. I believe that's one that a lot of people like.
And that is browser based as well, I believe.
I think so. Yeah. There's a bunch. I used to know of more, but over time, if you were somebody who wants to get into Photoshop or one of these other paid tools, it just becomes another investment in your channel, right? Just like you would buy a camera or a better PC or whatever. We spend money on things to make our content creation process easier. So always good to kind of keep that in your back pocket as you go. Can you make any suggestions for learning storytelling skills? Is there a class, an exercise, or are you just born with it? I did pick this one. I unfortunately don't have any actual examples, but what I can say is that if you were to Google the words learn storytelling, I'm certain you will find people who feel like they have the answers to that, and they're going to teach you, whether it be through YouTube videos, a course you can pay for, whatever that might be. What I will say though is that no, I don't think it's like any skill. I think it's a skill you develop over time. I don't think someone is just born with or without storytelling skills. I think you just have to commit to learning that. And this kind of goes into a deeper conversation, because I think a lot of, especially newer channels, creators kind of give up on themselves after a bit. They're like, oh, I guess I just don't have what it takes. And no, there's patience involved here. I guess Rob and I, and everybody here on this vidIQ channel, we talk all the time about growing channels, how this person did it in 40 days, look where they're at now, and all this stuff. But we're often looking at channels that we speculate have a ton of experience, whether it be from a channel in the past or just a ton of studying. There's experience in every facet of content making, and it's content creation, and it's going to take you sitting down and learning these skills. And storytelling is absolutely something you can learn how to do.
Nobody is born with language skills, and you need to tell a story through language. It's a case of training that that muscle. The reason why I think Dan and I are probably not the best people to ask about this is because the content that we make generally isn't storytelling, it's more education. Having said that, I will default to my common answer right now and say that Ed from Film Booth has kind of mastered that storytelling element within education. And I've also been experimenting with it myself in some of the videos where I'm trying to add a secondary hook. It might not necessarily be a story per se, but it's adding more intrigue and watchability to the video. The really weird example of this was where I had this shriveled up frozen pea and I put it on my shelf, and then I said to people, this is going to be moving throughout the video and you need to tell me where it moves to. And I got hundreds of comments about that. So like it was the tiny story of a pea moving around my shelves, which was quite weird. And I'm trying to include that more, like secondary hooks in all of my videos. But it can be hard to do. Like the most recent one was where I decided at the beginning of a video that I was going to say YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, but I was going to do it from 9 different perspectives. And so I created all of these characters. And then I decided I need to do something more with these characters. So throughout the video, I'm going to change costume, and each of these Rob multiverse characters is going to have slightly different traits. You know, I could have fleshed it out a bit more. But that was an idea of almost like a secondary hook or story going on throughout the video, which hopefully retained audience retention a little bit.
Yeah. So yes, this is something you can learn, a skill you can develop over time. Just to go back to this, where do you get the songs you were talking about? I think what I think you mean this, the YouTube audio library that we talked about a few places, but this is the first place I always send people. So it's just in your YouTube studio. So if you're in your dashboard, for example, you can just scroll down and then go to, there's monetization, customization, audio library, and it's all here. And it has all kinds of filters you can pick from, and you just got, I would say, just like hundreds and hundreds of songs. Like it's, thousands of songs. You have a lot of choice here. Can I monetize my channel with other people's TikTok, cat, or animal videos?
My answer to this, without knowing more about the channel, is I dislike people profiting from other people's contents in terms of non-transformational content. So let's say you take 10 TikTok videos about cats and you just stick them on YouTube, one video after another. I would say that that's not in the spirit of original creative content. It may be possible that it's monetized because YouTube can't content ID this stuff because it's from TikTok. But me personally, and I'm sure many other creators, would frown on this because you're essentially stealing other people's work and profiting from it. But
yeah,
I say that from a very top level. I don't know quite what you're going to be doing with this content.
Yeah. If it is what we assume, which is you going on TikTok, seeing something you like, downloading it, and then uploading it to your own channel. Not only I think will YouTube eventually demonetize you if you somehow get monetized, but I think those creators could come after you as well. I am of the mindset of they should come after you because that is literally stealing. Not to sugarcoat it, not to be too mean, but it is literally stealing. So
how would you feel as a creator if you'd created something completely original with no copyright of any kind? You went to locations, you spent hours editing, you built a script, it took you weeks to make, you publish it on a Monday, and then on Tuesday you see the video somewhere else and it has more views than on your channel. You would be devastated, frustrated, and angry. And that's what these TikTok content creators of their cats are probably feeling if they saw their TikTok on one of your videos.
Yeah. Now, again, transformative content, if you're taking it and you're transforming it in some way,
Sure.
totally different thing. But if you're just re-uploading it for the hopes of like getting monetized off someone else's work, that's probably not going to fly, especially if it's shorts, by the way. Like if you're taking TikToks and putting them on a shorts channel, and we're talking about actual YouTube shorts, getting into that creator fund, like, I've seen cases where people get millions of views and they get like the $100 payout. So even if you do get into the creator fund with this content, you're not even likely to make that much. So that's just another reality of it. If one of my videos gets a copyright claim on it and I take the video down and delete it, will the claim still exist?
I don't think with a claim, because it's not a penalty on the channel. And if you delete the video, all of the watch time is removed from that video as well. So there's no record of that. So I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. For me personally, I'd probably unlist it and try and resolve the copyright claim first before deleting it, or then making it public again. But yeah, I don't think there's any. I think ultimately copyright claims do not damage your channel as far as we're aware. So there shouldn't be too much to worry about there.
Okay, I watched my first video many times by accident, and people are watching it, but my other videos are not getting any views. Does this mean I have to watch my own videos many times to boost them?
This feels like a question from 2012, where people would, set up 4 browser windows and then just constantly refresh their YouTube video to add views to it. No, I don't think you need to watch all of your successive videos to boost the reach of it. And YouTube is sophisticated enough to know when you might be doing this. And if you do it too much, then you might be considered artificially trying to inflate your metrics, and you may get a penalty for that. Just let YouTube do its job. Let YouTube find the right audience for your content. The chances are the videos that you've made subsequently are just not resonating with an audience. And so YouTube is deciding not to share that content.
Yeah. And then we have this question here. YouTube notifies me of somebody else uploading my video. How strictly would you tackle it if it was happening 3 times a week or more? I have 3,000 subs right now.
This is a personal decision, really, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah.
I would have thought.
It is. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I don't like going after these because they're not getting a lot of views in my case, not nearly as many as I'm getting. And I have to share a lot of information with YouTube that I'm not comfortable sharing to go after that person. And then if that person wanted to then fight back and they hired a lawyer, God forbid, they can actually get all that very personal information that I give to YouTube. And I can't risk that, in those cases. So there are times where I've gone ahead and done it anyway, because it's just like, okay, this has gone on long enough. But it's that internal struggle of like, each case, it's a case-by-case basis. Is this worth my time or not? So it's really up to you. If that's happening that often, yeah, I'd be really, really upset. But I guess I would ask you, like, are they getting anything from it? Are we talking about tens of views or hundreds of views? Because I pulled up your channel in the background and it looks like you get hundreds of views in your videos, sometimes over 1,000. Are they doing better than you? Are they getting a fraction of that? And that, personally, if it were me, that's what I'd base my decision on.
Yeah.
But there's so many personal factors that come into that.
I think we've had hundreds of ID content matches on the vidIQ channel. And as you said, Dan, if ever one suddenly got a significant number of views and or they were monetizing that content, then I would probably defend our content. But I think fortunately for us, most of the vidIQ content is not only advertising vidIQ in itself, more exposure for us, but we're just trying to educate people. We're just trying to help people grow their channels. So I'm not too worried yet, but it's never happened just so far for us.
So still getting some interesting questions here related to copyright. We ran through our list of pre-selected questions, so I'm looking once again. Hashtag question helps us find your questions. Let's see. Some pretty interesting ones here. So for copyright stuff, Emily is not with us right now. She was here earlier, but we could try to tackle these from our experience. Maybe just give you some best practices. There's one here, and I don't know the answer to this, but I might direct you somewhere else. Is the music from No Copyright Sounds, they have 32 million subscribers, actually royalty free? I don't know if you know, Rob. I haven't looked into them enough to know to answer that like one way or another.
It's a question of trust. You would assume that with 32 million subscribers and lots of those subscribers using their copyright music and not having any seemingly big scandals from No Copyright Sounds on, I mean, you could search that, couldn't you? You could search No Copyright Sounds scandal or scam.
Trustworthy or
yeah. But I will always advise caution from such a place, because I think, Dan, I think you put it best. You know, these people who have offered this No Copyright Sounds music to the channel may be happy when it's there, but let's say one of these videos has 7 million views and they're not profiting from it. Oh, well, actually, now I think I will protect my content and have it copyrighted and start claiming. Where's the protection? Do you have a license? Can you download a license that proves that you can use this content for free, royalty-wise?
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is you could look on Reddit as well. A lot of people share stories on there all the time. So you could say, you could search for No Copyright Sounds copyright claim or something, and maybe Reddit in your search, and see if anyone's just said like, oh my gosh, I thought this was copyright free, and like tells, you know, if that keeps coming up over and over, you kind of know, okay. Or you might find people like you ask the question and then someone gives some legitimate resources as to how they verified. And I'm sure No Copyright Sounds themselves has a website and they have resources there. I've just personally never looked, but I have seen channels try to mimic that and they don't provide any legal resources at all and just kind of leave you in the dark, you know, hoping that it's actually royalty-free music.
I think the best answer we can offer is we don't know, which is why we recommend you do your due diligence and research so that you can get the best answer possible before deciding to use it. And if you're not sure, I'm sure there are alternatives. The YouTube audio library is probably the safest bet of any of these when it comes to free music and sounds.
Yeah. Can we still submit channels for audit next week after donating yesterday?
So next week's channel audit stream on a Tuesday will have nothing to do with the donations from last Tuesday. It will be just a regular free submit through the forms or get picked from one of our Twitter competitions, etc., etc. It was you can consider those donation live streams as a one-off. We really appreciate the donation. We apologize if we couldn't audit your channel on the day just because we got so many donations, which is awesome. Come back next week.
If you do want to support that fundraiser, it is linked to this live stream as well, so you can donate now. There we don't have any incentives. It's just if you would like to help. I did link that to the stream as well. Let's see. So I was just looking at some other questions here. I am currently going through and covering a Star Wars comic series. Where I do voice acting and add music and sound effects. Just curious, is this technically illegal? I don't show the whole comic. Interesting.
This is really interesting because what I would imagine, I could be wrong here though, is to add like an authentic air to the Star Wars comic. You are using Star Wars music and sound effects, possibly. I don't know. I could be wrong there. Would that be transformative enough? Again, I don't know the answer to that. Voice acting, I guess you're reading a script, perhaps from the comic. We need Emily for this one. I don't know if I can answer it.
This is definitely a question for Emily. So I don't know either. I would be nervous to do this. I know that there are channels we've seen where they literally just like read a comic book or read a book, And we always warn them that, like, hey, that's not really going to be cool probably with the author of that work. You're adding a lot of layers to an original work. You know, you're adding a voiceover, you're adding music, you're adding sound effects, but you know, it kind of comes down to that person who holds the copyright, right? They can still say, no, like, this is too much of my work that's getting out there for free for people, and I should be getting a cut of this, you know, or it could be worse and they want it pulled off altogether. So it's kind of a risk. The safest way you can go about to any project like this is to just reach out to the author, the company,
George Lucas.
Well, not George
Hey,
Lucas,
George.
but the publishing company. You know,
Yeah.
there are departments in these companies that probably field a lot of questions, and you could see if they get back to you like, hey, I'm doing this, is this cool, you know, or I would like to do this, is this cool? In gaming, a lot of game developers answer emails like that, so it, you know, that could be another route. We can't, obviously we can't answer fully because we don't have our lawyer with us right now, but she'll be back early next month, and if you remember, come back and ask that question during that Q&A.
I'm curious about this now, because can you remember Family Guy did renditions of Star Wars films?
Yeah,
like 30-minute remakes, and they were fantastic.
They were great.
And I'm just wondering, do you think they needed Star Wars permission, or was it fair use comedy parody to do all of that? Because I'm guessing that the Luxinator is actually just doing a copy, like verbatim, or did I say entire sections of it? They don't show the whole comic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, how transformative is it? I assume you're taking the comic format into a video format, but it's essentially the same source material. I don't know, Dan. Yeah, where's Emily?
Yeah.
Help.
If branded intros aren't cool anymore, how about a branded outro? This might be my fault. I've on a crusade to get people to stop using these branded intros. Now, some of my favorite creators still use these, so this is not like, oh, Dan said it, now it's just fact. It comes down to preference. It comes down to a lot of things. We like to say, if you do a branded intro, it should be short. And we're talking seconds long, a few seconds. And that leaves you enough time for a quick little boopity boppity music, and then like an animation with the matching all the boopity bops, and then it goes into whatever it is you're doing. But the ones we see, the reason that I say this so definitively, stop doing this, is because it is always obnoxiously long. You got lights and music, and it's just the person's name dancing around the screen for like 10, 20, sometimes 30 seconds. And that just makes people like me crazy. And we're like, stop it, stop doing this. But in reality, there's more nuance to it than that. So with that disclaimer out of the way, we'll call me like a min-maxer when it comes to YouTube, right? I wouldn't recommend a branded outro because I like to use my outro for end screens and subscribe calls to action and things like that. So if I do a branded outro and it lasts 10 seconds long, I lose 10 seconds of watch time is what I'm assuming. I'm assuming people don't sit there, oh, branded outro, and watch the full 10 seconds. You've invited them to click off the video. I don't like signaling to people that videos are over. I don't like that. So I personally say no, because I'm of this min-max mindset. No, I need that. That's valuable time, but not everyone feels that way. And sometimes people want to brand their content like that, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just, if you ask people like me, I'm like, why would you even do that? That's silly. But that's where that all comes from.
An outro can be branded, but think of a viewer mindset. As soon as they see the credits appear, they know the video's ended. They know the film's ended, or the TV show's ended, so they're moving on. As soon as they see a branded outro that they've seen before, they know the video's ended. Now, let's say you have kind of a hybrid where you have like a branded outro card running, but you're also narrating what the viewer should do next. Like, if you want to learn more about this topic that we talked about today, I go into a lot more detail in this video over here. And, you know, you might have arrows pointing to that end screen to click on it. But yeah, just a branded outro when there's probably only 20 to 30% still watching at this point. It's a killer. You should be using the final moments of your video to tell people what they should do next from a call to action. and have it very intentional and very direct.
So let's see. We've time for a couple more here. Let's see. Kind of an interesting one. All right. So I swear I didn't pick this one. I'm going to assume you did, and if I picked it by accident, I'm sorry. Do you shave your head, or are you really bald?
Yeah, I did pick it. Yeah, I shaved my head. I went bald when I was like 25. So yeah, I was an early adopter to the shaved head. But sometimes I just like these non-YouTube questions. So I thought I'd answer it.
Please pick my question over how to promote videos. Sharing a link is not good. It is crucial for me to know, please. I, again, am of the mindset that you don't need to go out there sharing your videos. I want YouTube to do the work for me. If I share my videos on social, that's kind of like extra. That's for my regular audience that bothered to follow me on social, and maybe they get their notifications from Twitter easier than they do from YouTube. And that's when I might share a link on social. But I'm not sharing a link on social hoping new people find my videos. That's YouTube's job. And everything we teach on this channel helps you get YouTube to do that for you. So you don't need to buy Google ads. You don't need to go on Twitter and Reddit and wherever to promote your content outside the platform. YouTube has the resources to do this for you. And everything we teach is to help you get to that point.
I agree. Let YouTube's recommendation system find the right audience for your content, because if you are just sharing links and promoting, people aren't necessarily interested in that. Wherever somebody consumes some content, they want value from that content, not just to be told to go somewhere else for a bit of content.
Yep. All right. Koifish Gaming, live content seems to be getting pushed more lately. Have you folks noticed this in your analytics?
Nope. I think our numbers have stayed pretty static for live streaming. I think they've gone up a little bit, but they've only gone up at the same rate as our views, because I think we've just been reaching more people at the start of the year, but not in particular for our stuff. But Dan, what about you? Have you noticed anything?
I'm in a weird boat. I'm doing a test where I use clips from my streams as my primary video content. And so effectively, the channel I run in my personal life is a live streaming channel, because the idea is that these clips that get a lot of views reach a lot of new people. And then the new people are like, oh, this was a live stream. And they are willing to subscribe and watch my live streams. And if they hit that subscribe button, there is a chance that when I am live, YouTube, it pushes my content to them. And I am noticing that channels who I've subscribed to, who I've not watched pretty much more than once ever, suddenly are popping up because they're doing live streams. And I just happen to be on my homepage at that time. So in that regard, as a user, I've seen more streams popping up. So maybe you're right, or maybe it's anecdotal and we're just kind of noticing this in passing, like noticing the same patterns, but it doesn't mean anything. But yeah, it's hard for me to say with my analytics, because I'm deliberately going after a strategy to grow my live streams by using clips from those live streams. So it could be working. And then I look at my analytics, I'm like, you're right, Koifish, but really it's a different test, you know? Are YouTube Shorts still monetized through the Creator Fund? My friend makes barely anything from Shorts yet.
As far as I'm aware, the Creator Shorts Fund is still going to run for at least another 6 months, or up to the end of 2022. What I will say is that the fund hasn't moved anywhere. It's still $100 billion in total that's being dished out to creators. And the more people who come onto Shorts, the more competitive it gets. And therefore, I assume you need more views to reach the threshold, which is, I guess, a case of a platform being a victim of its own success. But stay tuned, because I think there's going to be some pretty incredible monetization opportunities coming to Shorts over the next 12 months. Just not yet.
And then this question here: is the thumbnail and title the main two keys to get views?
I'd say yes. To get the view, to win the click, absolutely. And the line I've been using recently is the first thing a potential viewer sees from your content, the thumbnail and the title, is typically the last thing the creator actually makes. in terms of their workflow. So do try to prioritize that. It gets a little more nuanced once a person is in the video, because then you need to engage them with a video hook, keep them watching for as long as possible, make sure the video topic is relevant and you are following your audience's trends and needs. But simply put, the thumbnail and the title are incredibly important.
If we are looking at videos on the home feed and we're seeing all these titles and thumbnails, yes, they're very crucial to getting me to click. But if I click in there and it's just not what I feel like watching, not what I was hoping it would be or whatever, and I click out, that is noted. As a viewer, YouTube's like, this guy, okay, he doesn't really like this creator. So what's going on? Or this type of content, this topic. So maybe it tries again and it tries to push me a similar video in the future. And it's the same reaction. Ooh, with title and thumbnail I like. Click. Oh, never mind. Unclick. These are all signals. YouTube is always collecting data, collecting signals. And so you can win the click with a great title and thumbnail, but if that content isn't delivering, maybe the editing's not there, the pacing's all off, whatever it might be that's making people click away, YouTube will stop bothering that person with that content and it will put something else. There are 8 slots in front of me right now. This is the most prime real estate on the whole website. It's above the fold, 8 slots, 8 videos right in your face. And if I refresh, I didn't click any of them. And it's like, try again. They move. Some of them are there. Some of them are different. It moved around on me. So
can you see there's a beacon mic thumbnail? That's because I've been watching tutorials on how to use a microphone in the last 24 hours.
Yeah. But all those videos just got an impression from me that did not result in a click.
Failure.
Yep. They all failed just now. So I could prove a point.
Rubbish.
All right. Thank you all for your questions. That was awesome. Thanks to Emily for hanging out with us today.
Yeah.
Rob, any final thoughts?
Be kind. It is a difficult time in the world right now. Make sure you hug your loved ones and hashtag stand with Ukraine.
Indeed. Everybody, thank you so much. We will be back on Tuesday with channel audits, Wednesday with more Q&A. And I believe Friday, I got a video coming out. Is it Friday or Thursday?
We might push that back to Monday, Dan.
Okay.
We'll see.
Well, then I have a video coming out that I'm very excited for all of you to see. And it's actually about titles and thumbnails. So pay attention to that one and pay attention. That was a mean thing to say. Please watch it if you have a chance. Pay attention to me. Didn't
click it.
Click it. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Thank you so much.